So in this film, I want to just ramble. So it's about 10 minutes long. We're looking at old footage of Mount Athos 100 years ago. It said 1918, so a bit more than 100 years ago. So little panoramic views here. I've done no research at all for this film. So anyway, it looks like this footage was made by a French company. How and why in the aftermath of, or during aftermath of First World War. I don't know how that happened. Obviously the director has told this monk to go and enter this rickety hermitage on this outcrop for the footage. Very picturesque. So, and also another old monk nodding his head, must be praying. So that was very picturesque. So the production values are, pretty. So I think we're looking at footage that might have been the best clips that the French film company has made. So now. Nice panoramas. There'll be another one as well. So we've got to look at more monasteries on cliff tops. Here we go. Here's another one. So I'm not going to say which monasteries I think these are. I think people probably know, and even if I said I'd probably be wrong. So that would be embarrassing. But if anyone knows, you're free to tell us. Yeah, and that tower, I should know where this is, but I don't think I do. If you know, you can tell us. And watch the monk jump into the boat. He's done it heaps of times, obviously. That was all very well practiced. That was good. Yeah, so while this film is running, I don't have much to say. But I was thinking that it's worth remembering or calling to mind what we know of this historical period in this area at this time. So I've mentioned the Great War, the First World War, raging, but also down here in the Mediterranean around this time, the Ottoman Empire is still intact, more or less, on its last legs. I'm going to avoid triggering the algorithm with a particular word that starts with G, so I'm just going to talk about genes, and I'm going to talk about cider. So, I can reference Armenia, but that whole area geographically now known as country of Turkey, I'm going to just kind of say Anatolia, just as a blanket term for it. So, okay, what does that say? Easter procession, 1917, Vadapedi, and the city of the town, village centre of Karais. So anyway, so that's all happening around this time that we're looking at, and not just that genes and cider for the Armenian people, but all of the. There was that so-called exchange of populations. It wasn't an exchange, wasn't an exodus, wasn't an expulsion, was it a, the genes and cider thing wasn't just for the Armenian people. It was also for, everyone else as well. And we won't talk about the finer details of that here, but it's worth researching. So anyway, I made a mistake once when I met a Greek man, and hello, family, what's your name, blah, blah, where are you from? In Greece, I asked him, I made a big mistake. I said, where in Greece are you from? Where's your family from? And he didn't want to answer, but then he said, Piraeus, the port near Athens. And I thought, oh, really? Oh, that's... I don't know, nearby the port or so. So I still didn't get it. But then he's, I don't know how he told me. Anyway, no, he was from Smyrna. And so he was from, let's call it Anatolia. His family were part of that so-called exchange. So I kind of learnt what a big mouth I've got. Anyway, what else was going on at that time? Well, I mean, I don't know how poor Mount Athos was at that time, how crumbly. I mean, this is obviously a huge event, but Pasca, the military are there, the French film company's there. It's all a big deal, but in that footage that we just saw, what the things were looking a bit crumbly. So anyway, I'm going to jump forward. I'll jump forward. And I knew someone who visited Mount Athos when he was a young man, in I think the later 60s or early 70s. It must have been the later 60s. And he said that at that time, Mount Athos was very crumbly as well, a lot of dilapidation, and very idiorhythmic. The Cenobitic life hadn't quite been restored, so it wasn't really well organised very much. So again, I think still pretty poor. I mean, there was another war, wasn't there, after that First World War, and then there was several wars, and so all a bit. And now I'm jumping ahead again. I visited Mount Athos, and I was staying at Padapedi for 5 weeks or so. And in one of the upstairs salons, there are these 3 large oil paintings dating from this period here, the early 20th century. And these large paintings were about 3 meters wide, 1.5 meters high, sort of thing. Wall paintings of views from Vadapedi across the sea. But the thing is, the sea in all of these paintings were full of World War I battleships. So the British Empire ruled the seas at that time, and obviously had a vested interest in the Mediterranean. So you can imagine. Yeah, so that was interesting to see that the historical significance of those paintings. Yeah. All right. So I don't know if I have much more to say. So we'll just keep watching these processions for a bit. They're going to go to Yveron Monastery in a moment, and I visited Yveron Monastery just for a few hours in the company of some other pilgrims who took me kindly in their. Did they have a car? Yeah, they did. Yeah, we had the use of a Land Rover down to Yveron. So I'll talk about that when it comes up. So. So what does that say? Yeah, Yveron and Vadapedi, so 1918. So we went to Yveron just to venerate the icon Portaitisa, which should be being carried in this procession, which you should be able to see towards the end of this film. We're nearly finished, another minute or so. Yep, that'd be very noisy. I hope he's got his earplugs. I'd hate to be there without earplugs. And I think here comes the icon. So Yveron is down by the shore, as you'll see. A fan over the icon. Oh, umbrella over the icon, sorry. Right, haven't got much more to say, so we'll just watch this film play itself out. Oh, and when I was at Vadapedi, very international by now, so quite different. But here, I doubt it's very international. I'm sure it's pretty mono-ethnic. as a place. All right, that's all.